Sounds good? Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for showing up. It's been a minute. But we've had some cool stuff happen. Give me a second. Let me kill this timer. And as always, this stream is intended for educational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as financial advice. Rainbow Runner, checking in on the charts, checking on you guys, see how you guys are doing well. The Discord has been on absolute fire. So if you're new here and don't know what we're about, we talk a lot more in Discord, the group, than we do tweets. So definitely check out the Discord. If you don't know where it is, go to the main website, rainbow-trends.com, and you can do the community stuff here. And there's the Discord link. So, anywho, let's recap on some stuff, because today was kind of a big day for some really wild stuff we haven't seen before. I'm not sure about the music being 60-40. Do you want me to turn it down? Is that what that means? And normally you try to get this really low. YouTube's not the best for this. But anyway, we got some people here. What's up, Radium? Magna225, yo, first time in the chat. Glad to see you here. Timmy, what's up, dude? Magna, yep, sorry, working on the sound. FYCA, I don't know how to say your name. What's up, dude? Yes, please down, yes. Okay. Is that better now? I think that might be off. Yeah, that's as low as I can get it. So anyway, we're rolling. Bitcoin has hit the king of the ranges. If you're familiar with this chart that we've been looking at for a while, been watching it mainly on 4 hour, but it's a little less messy on 6. But I love messy charts, as you can tell. And yeah, this is it. And it's pretty easy. I say it's pretty easy. This is actually like hard mode, so don't lie to yourself. This is not up only, but the colors have been really clear, and they've been clear for a while. And they've been kind of boring. Kind of. I say that. This we've been riding for a while, and we've been doing really, really well. Let me move this so you guys can actually see price. Yep, there we go. Sorry. Hashtag. I think I'm going to switch my stream up to the ultra wide soon. So I might have to test that out with you guys and go from there. But this is roughly the range we've been in. And we can stream this up or tighten this up. We've got a range here at the top, which has been like the king of the ranges for the most part. And then at the bottom, we have these two ranges. And then this was the FTX capitulation. We've been riding this ever since. Josh Nomics. It's going to be a while before we see Ethereum at 20K, but I think it's coming. We had this awesome move from 16K all the way up to like 24K. And then she completely rolled over, printed a top signal, and then she came back down and then retested this pivot here. She actually kind of double bounced off it, but you can see the RSI prints lit up on that pivot as it was defended. Same thing here. You can see where they tried to punch through, and it took them 3 times before they did. So there's a lot of contention at the 24-2 area, right? I risked off up here on a lot of stuff. I know a lot of people were getting some scalp action along here where some alts were just going completely psycho, and it was awesome to see that in the Discord. That's just not my cup of tea. That's a time frame I don't trade, but you degens, if you're killing it, I can't tell you anything. Keep killing it. Keep making me uncomfortable with 5-second charts. But we punched all the way back up to the top pivot, which is 25-2, right? We've wicked this now twice with a pink candle. Let me check defaults. I don't think I'm on default here. Hold on. Yeah. Let me put that back to 0. Switch defaults. There we go. Back to normal colors. Punched it. RSI was hot. We failed to get through it, and then it started pulling back down. And at the same time, the S&P 500 started pulling back down as well. But that's the pivot, right? We risked off back in the day here for a good reason. And we've covered this a bunch in the streams, but I'll go real quick. Weakening colors, higher highs. Eventually, it completely rolled over on the colors, and we cut. And it went down, I think it was a 50% retrace, came back up, CPI came in there, and we nuked again. But the point is we had weakening colors. So the drives were pushing up higher, but it tripped a lot of people out because people saw higher high, they wanted to risk on, but the bulls were weaker. There was no follow through here. There was no volume. Typically, when you break down resistance, you want the apes to show up, and the apes did not show up, and this was weaker. So we're seeing that here too. And I'm a little risk off just kind of waiting and seeing. S&P to me looks really bearish. So I'm not so big that Bitcoin's just going to randomly decouple. But guess what? I would love to be wrong. And I'm more than willing to wait, get a retest. Oops, I just bumped my drink. Wait, get a retest, and then go. I can long late here and not miss a lot of the party. So the problem is we're at a high altitude, right? We are at an altitude. I say a high altitude. 25 doesn't sound high, but this down draw we could eat is going to be really, really bad. And frankly, a lot of people aren't trading Bitcoin right now. They're trading alts. And if Bitcoin decides to pull a 25% down draw, we're going to have some serious issues with alts. Alts are going to just completely puke. So that's why I'm like really kind of not messing with much right now and letting the bots do a lot of stuff. Because right now, like, we've got heavy selling here. These big candles, bam, 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 bam. People are taking profit and they're trying to hide it. So they're at a range high into resistance and the whales are taking profit. It's as simple as that. And if we would go down to like a lower time frame, it's a little easier to see. And let me pull some of this stuff off because I just messed it all up. What's up, Josh, by the way? I don't think I've seen you in the stream before. If you don't know, Josh Nomics is a good dude. This is also a lot of TP signals, and I'm also scared of a BART. It looked like we were going to have a BART here, and then the pivot held at 24.2. So maybe it's going to keep punching up. We don't really know yet. Just don't know. And it's really good to know that you don't know, right? So that's a trade too. Just sitting back and waiting. Down here, we loaded up on a lot of stuff. We got bottom signals. We fully tapped out. We loaded up. And majority of my stuff was I risked off here. I didn't know if we were going to get through this triple pivot, and we ended up punching a bunch higher. But the key is don't lie to yourself. For the past year or so, whatever, however many days you want to call it, we have not been in long resistance season. We've been in short resistance season. And we really haven't taken a range back up. Old charts, why coughed up? We've just been printing ranges and nuking, printing ranges and nuking. This might be the first one it looks like it might hold. It might be. I don't know yet, right? Let's go to daily and it's going to look bad, but we've been downtrending since November of 21. So yeah, it's been a while. And it looks like we might be about to take this range. Because if we can break this, we're like in a really good position. But at the same time, you could argue that this is going to be a multi-year accumulation. We end up doing that for another year or two, maybe till the end of 2023. I mean, right now, the S&P is not looking like it's going to be popping hot anytime soon with Powell making his comments the way they are. And unemployment and inflation numbers still being pretty messed up. So keep that in mind. This could be accumulation and we go down for another dog leg. And that's why I'm like, check yourself. Because the thing is like, this is hard as hell to trade. We made a lot of profits from here to here. Don't give it back. That's the big thing. Like, you don't want to be exit liquidity. So a short cover after a 4-day dump could be. And also Binance did some really weird stuff yesterday, but it's Australia, so it's technically today. Binance cut out some retail customers and closed all their crypto positions and stuff like that. I don't know fully yet the ins and outs of it, but there was definitely an Australia Binance pullback today. But is what it is. We can go S&P real quick because S&P is pretty easy to cover right now. For the most part, every top signal that the runner bot has printed since November 21 has been dead on and has yet to been invalidated. This was the first one we really had that didn't fully go down to like a support line. We came back up and then we printed another top, and now she's coming back down. So I'm really wanting to see what happens here, because if we can hold 4K, that's kind of good looking. But we'll see what Powell does. Powell could just keep increasing rates till it crushes everything, but I really think we're going to retest 3,600. I think. Do I know? No, I don't know, but I'm damn sure not going to be like looking to along a bunch of stuff with TP signals printing on the S&P. Bitcoin really, really cares about what the S&P is doing. S&P also happens to really care about what oil's doing, and oil right now is range bound, and it's just kind of going sideways. And the Russian war is dragging on. Came up on the year's anniversary. United States thumping their chest, China thumping their chest, whatever. I hate war, pick your side, whatever. But the Ukraine conflict is going to affect oil for a long time. And we've bounced so far off 73, and we may be going up for another run. Hey, this is a crypto stream. Why do I care? Diesel and oil directly affect S&P 500. The price of your pump really affects the economy. You got to remember, all this stuff that people buy in commerce, it's transported around the world on diesel. So these prices really, really matter. The Bitcoin correlation is 1-to-1, damn near, on S&P 500. So oil affects S&P, S&P affects Bitcoin. Call Bitcoin the king all you want. It bows to the S&P. So, and S&P bows to oil. I could go on and on. But anyway, the one thing we also need to look at is Ethereum. Liquid staking is going to be unlocked soon. And so far, this chart is messy as can be, but I don't care because this is a wild chart. We've had to get a little wild to play this. There's a bunch of pivots all over here. There's a bunch of blocks. If you follow the tweets, it's a little clearer because I do screenshots of it at different times. But regardless, we've been knocking out TPs all the way up. These boxes are what the targets were that I've had written for a long time, and I've been Xing them as we crossed them up. And so far, we went all the way back down from like 11. You really got some that were like almost sub 1,000. I think my DCA was 1180 or 1080. It was just under 1100, I believe. And I sold it here at 1500 ish. It was like a 40% trade, but we ended up going one more higher TP level, and we almost got to this fifth one, but we stopped mid-range, kind of formed a BART headline, and we printed another top. So this is a weird pattern as well, and I get real skittish when I feel like there's not a floor below me, because I'm always scared of this, right? It's been a while since Alameda and FTX have died, but since they've died, we haven't seen a cascade liquidation or a liquidation cascade where alts and everything just damn near goes off the map on a vertical downfall. Maybe that was Alameda all these years. I don't know. But I'm real skittish because we have not had a death wick in a very long time. We haven't really printed white 1 hour candles on a lot of these major coins. So I'm a bit skittish. I don't know if Alameda's still out there. I don't know if they're still operating, but Bitcoin's opening back up in Hong Kong. That's where Alameda used to have their headquarters. So I'm not so big on it. I'm just protective, right? We took stones to enter here, and we took profit here. I don't want to get long here. I don't want to short Ethereum, but I'm real skittish about longing it. So keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm ranting. Let me catch up on chat. Disinflation near to burn. BTC was 15 years very high and ready to go back to the range streak. Black Swan and 3K retest. COVID 2.0. What's the new virus that's from the Batcave? That's 80% death rate. Maybe that'll do it. I don't know. I think honestly a lot more people are battle hardened when it comes to stocks after going through that event. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to do it anytime soon. I mean, I honestly, we talk nukes. if they drop a nuke, that realistically, if you wanted to print something like we had on COVID, it would take a nuke. If a nuke dropped, sure. And I'm gonna feel really conflicted if I'm bidding a nuclear bomb event. Is what it is. But, or if there's an escalation of China entering war with the United States or something like that, that would drop. And I'm probably going to get my Twitch account banned again. So, hope you guys are enjoying this, because last time we started talking Russia conflict, I got permanently banned with no warning. So, shout out Twitch mods for unlocking it, because we hate war. We like firearms a lot, and fun type of firearms, but nothing like I hate war. So anyway, I digress. Another thing is that you could be looking at as far as what is a potential bottom. And let me turn a bunch of this stuff off. I'll leave channel walker. Let me turn that off. Let me turn off the pivots, and let me turn off whale prints. Litecoin is out of its range. I've got my square tools set up for something, so I'll have to draw it, but not bad. This is like an accumulation range, and it's done. Like, Litecoin has pulled up and out, and we actually did a channel walker all the way up and out of this damn thing. So, I don't know about you, but when was the last time we saw, let me turn log on, try to redraw this. When was the last time we saw Litecoin outrun Ethereum or Bitcoin? It's been a minute. But shout out to CL207, the fun cat. He mentioned it last time, or a month or two ago. He's like, take it for what you want. When we pulled out of 2018, Litecoin was the first one to pull out of the actual macro bottom. Why Litecoin whales, which are normally extremely boring, would do that again, or why they did it originally, I have no idea. Charlie Lee's not even involved anymore. I don't know, but it's something to note is since December, Litecoin has been way stronger than Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I think the freaking Litecoin conference was like back here, back in like October or something. So like there hasn't been any technical news or anything, but the whales have been going hard as can be on Litecoin for a while. With that being said, when channel walkers break, I normally expect typically a 60% retrace. So yeah, there's a good chance we could come back to here. Now this isn't that is pretty clean. It's not the longest one, but a lot of the channel walkers will come back 60%. This was a 70% run, 70 on Litecoin, which normally is less volatile than Bitcoin and Ethereum, but now it's pushing harder. So anyway, XMR, we can look at XMR, Monero. What's up, Jared? That's what it is. Having Doppel. What's up, dude? Shame on you for not being on the stream with me right now. You said that laptop's killing it, so. Anyway, when is the Litecoin halving date? Let me look it up. $160 days. Not terribly far out. On the Bitcoin charts, it typically will move up to the halving. Then once the halving happens, it's a sell the news event, and then it curves slowly and then pulls back up again. So maybe we'll pump until the halving. It's such a boring coin. I don't like looking at it, but 420 was the top. Maybe. Link, since we're talking accumulation, Link is the other one. This is real clear accumulation to me. A lot of the other ones aren't. And I'm not a Wyckoff guy, but this is this is matching a lot of the Wyckoff stuff, in my opinion. And that's the point where the true Wyckoff guys tell me I'm wrong. So take it for what it's worth. It looks like accumulation to me. Could be wrong, but for full on downtrend, coming all the way down, it's clearly found a bottom. And look at the visible range. Like, people are defending this. And Link has always had kind of a solid stance for me. I really like the way the whales print the colors, and I really like how it acts. I used to run a lot of bots on Link, and it did very, very well in 2017 and 18. Those bots chewed it up. Unfortunately, Link has changed, and I don't run them anymore, but it was a good learning experience. Peer pressure works easy on me. Pits. Okay. Give me a second and we will get Doppel on. I don't know if I can screen share, but I can at least get audio. 1 second. Hold on. All right, Doppel, call me back when you're ready. Sorry. We'll get him on. XMR. I always think privacy coins are going to be a real thing one day. Maybe or not. They may never get their actual parabolic run like everything else does, like the AI narrative and staking and DeFi and all this other crap. But I think there's always a place for it, and particularly tax season stuff, it normally starts pumping. Of the privacy coins, Monero's kind of the leader as far as names and people associated and stuff, right? Has a non-shady pass unless you're a Fed. But yeah, it's erratic as hell though. It tends to run when other things aren't, and it doesn't always make a lot of sense to me. But she's pulling back right now. It appears to be really paying attention to pivots though, so keep a note. There's certain parts of like Rainbow Theory, like where the whales will really start respecting certain things. Take notes when that is. Sometimes like the whales will not break a pivot on certain charts. Like, take really, really note of that and use it to your advantage. It's like right now you can see 153 is really, really hot, and then 150 was wicked. But if 150 is a really pretty number, if 150 breaks, we're looking at going down a lower range. But with that being said, this is bottom, this is top-ish range. I don't really like playing in the middle, and that's really where this is, in the middle. And there's still a lot of heavy selling here with these yellow big candles. There's not a lot of heavy buying, there's heavy selling. So, but it's really cool to see that ramp up right there. I really like seeing volume go, like, call it a bull div. I don't know what you want to call it, but when you see the pumps go up linear like that, I get real excited because it's, to me, that's a whale drawing a straight line and they're increasing the volume on a time sequence, at least how I interpret it. But we could talk whale theory all night. Neo, I forgot to check Neo. Neo went absolutely bonkers. It kind of did like an accumulation cylinder, and then she took off. Something, China news, right? Oh, Blake needs to see that. The karate chop of his HMA line. If you don't know, this is the new tool. If your custom clouds is still on 1.6, delete it, save your chart, restart your browser, then re-add it, and you'll get the new one. And the new one has Blake's HMA line, and he's working on some other things he wants me to do. He wants me to actually turn this into a ribbon and do some multiple lines, but this is the setting where you can add stuff to it, and you can do bull divs and stuff on it too. It's not on every chart, but it will post them. You can turn it off and on as needed. But it's really good for calling tops because the HMA will come up in karate chop as the price is rolling over, and that's a really good signal to exit, cut your position. I'm drawing awesome on the camera tonight. But that thing actually looks like it's topped out. We got a top signal. because this was crazy. Like I really slept on this one because I used to be a really big Neo fan. I really liked how it moved. And I used to trade it a lot. And then the China news came, and I totally forgot like what's my OG China coin, Neo, and I slept on it. So sometimes the easy trade is you can be oblivious to it. Can we look at VET? Yeah, and Lido? Sure, sure. I haven't seen VeChain stuff in a really long time, and then like this month I started seeing a lot of VeChain stuff. So take that for what it's worth. Let me move the runner bot up to the top because I don't like seeing the whale prints over them. So bottom. It's rocking. I mean, I say it's rocking. It's pulling up. Like it's fighting. This is all printed resistance. Like all these previous ranges, it's had to chew through them. Especially that area right there. It chewed right through it, and then there's another block right there. What is it? ICT or whatever the trader mains theory stuff. Those are those order blocks, more or less. At least that's how I do it. I can't see what trader main sees, so I made a computer do it. It's like 80%, 90% that. But I don't have his neck and I don't have his eyes, so yeah. Anyway, actually looks pretty good. It's ripping and roaring, so be very careful because there's a lot of altitude to come back down. But I would definitely set alerts here. Let me finish drawing those lines across. This is limitation of Pine Script. I can't draw the dash lines to infinity. It actually breaks it and makes everything turn off. So just draw them across because they're still valid. But if you can get above the 3.5 cents, like really pay attention because there's a range here. This is when Elon sold. This is the next range, and then this is like the FTX capitulation range, and then this is like the recovery side. So if she can get above that, like this is the top of the range before we really start like talking about climbing. But if you can get support here, flip this resistance support, that would be like really exciting. Because otherwise you got to be scared of this. Oh, give me a second. Could be Doppel. Three. All right, we got Doppel on the line.
Hey, what's up, chat?
What's up? He's converted over to the Lenovo side, so I'm very happy. Albeit he gutted it and put Linux on it, so I'm not so happy about that.
I don't know how you could be sad about that.
I don't know, but I'm super jelly of the laptop you bought because you flat out sent it to me, and I was like, those specs can't be real. And then I actually Googled it, and they were like, I'll be damned. They did shove a 30. Was it a 3070 inside a Elite or a X series? It's crazy. But anyway, what is on your mind? I know you've been kind of disinterested in a lot of stuff, but things are starting to warm back up.
What have we reviewed so far?
Bitcoin, S&P, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Monero really is all we've touched. I know the F conference is coming up. That may F Denver. I know Jared's speaking. I really want to go to that, but it's just because I'm a big sushi fan.
We should definitely try to plan something. Let's go next year.
Yeah. I think it's in a few weeks, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. But he's actually speaking. Like he's on the list of like speakers, so it's like I'm super excited. He actually plays with the Rainbow Trend stuff too from time to time, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so you mentioned Link being very accumulative. What do you think of sushi setup? Like, does this read to you as really nice accumulation or not?
I have a friend from 9K's Discord that has asked me that multiple times. Um, it's a higher time frame setup, and I think it's I think it's what you would call the it's retraced 90% and hit a bottom. The colors here are all whacked out because it's on daily. Let me kill some of this stuff, but I think it's there. I think the argument is easier to sell, not necessarily easy to sell, but I think it's entertainable. Link is easier for me to see than this, just because this one's been more erratic. Um, but it's also a more volatile asset in general. Because remember, DeFi kind of we had DeFi summer, then DeFi kind of blew up. Like we had a lot of stuff die in DeFi. Um, a lot of
So we have
scams, a lot of
we have a
hacks.
lot of we have a lot of the OG DeFi builders from 2019 coming out and saying, "Hey, this year is going to be the renaissance again. Like we are back in DeFi mode coming up." And I think that's believable, especially with the latest news from Coinbase. If you can, if Coinbase is, we don't know a lot of the details, or at least I haven't researched too much more than just their blog post. But a lot of people are making assumptions, and if it means that Coinbase already has really tight partnerships with institutions, if this allows some way for larger players to come in and get their feet wet in DeFi, this starts to make all these charts in DeFi that have created a really nice bottom, whether it breaks out now or whether it breaks out in 6 more months from now. I think that that is something that is a part of this entire play. That Coinbase and the base and the L3 or L2 that they're building is something that is a part of this narrative.
That's a really good point, and I have a thesis as well on DeFi. Because people have like people have gone through FTX fallout. They've really forgotten how bad the fallout was on DeFi. Like a lot of coins went belly up. They got hacked. People's funds went to zero. It was bad. It was really really bad. I think honestly, the DeFi coins that survive this past year, I think rise up on the next bull run, and I think that more or less lines up with what you're talking is Coinbase is building that into that same forefront with something that's trusted with institutions. But I think the OGs that are still here and they're still active, they're still building. I think we're talking as a long term play. I think that's probably going to be like Uniswap. I think Sushi Swap, Aave. We could maybe talk about the Cake and the Binance Smart Chain stuff, but I think the real one's going to be like Sushi Swap, in my opinion. But I'm biased there a little bit just because I'm such a big fan of Jared. But um, Aave is starting to wake up. We're starting to see that stuff, and you're right. Though this is flat out. We were in a free fall, and it flat out printed a bottom, and it's been up and down, and people have been liquidity trading the hell out of this with high block tools. But I think you're right. And the other part of I think the DeFi complex is a lot of people also after FTX fallout don't want to deal with centralized exchanges anymore. So I think there's the DEX narrative is going to run, and I think people are going to want safety, not flashy. And are you going to want a protocol that's been around for a year, or are you going to want a protocol that's been around for 4 years? So that really sets up like Sushi Swap and Uniswap for the OG safe DeFi play. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but you also mentioned the grifters that part of what we call DeFi 2.0. I don't know. Do you remember that? Do you remember that there was a YouTube video of a guy, like a white rapper, that made just a song about all of the like Danny coins. It was hilarious, but it was pretty much the Pico top for DeFi. um, but I think that those types of guys are coming back in. Like I saw Danny had tweeted something about like forking Uni or forking something, some old original DeFi protocol. But those, just because we think that the uh, original DeFi protocols have made a bottom, they potentially can lead, but I think that the grifters are starting to come back.
Yeah, unfortunately. But that's every year. But as far as like, and that's the other thing is like you're gonna have like these new flashy stuff start up, explode. Like no one saw the Soul Run coming, right? But um, you know, I think the problem is you don't know what's going to be the next Soul. But I think you could argue like there's a safe bet Sushi survives and does well and continues on, and that's going to be one
100%.
of the players, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's looking like a bottom here. So we'll see. The all-time high was 23, and you're at $1.50. So yeah, I mean it's. Don't assume that this can't drop 100%. Everything can always drop 100%. People don't think that it's fallen 90 that you're safe and it can only fall 10 more. That's not the case. But you
But it's a
know,
beautiful range to trade.
it's a hard one, man, for me. But yeah, I've watched ISO and I've talked to ISO in private chats a lot about this coin. He can see the reversals really, really well. Um, I don't have it yet. I'm working on getting more of the liquidation theory into rainbow trends, and it's very, very hard to program that, but we're getting there. Um, the sushi whales in particular rotate the leverage from long to short, and that's what he was just chewing it up on. They're very, very consistent. Um, but anyway, I'm trying to think what else because I haven't really looked into all that stuff. But it was is the coin even listed yet? But it's based on optimism, isn't it?
Oh yeah, OP, it is listed. I think it's on all major exchanges at this point.
Yeah.
But this definitely ran off the news, and I forget, but there was something about how Base, the Coinbase layer, will end up taking some of the revenue and putting it towards more further development of optimism.
I remember 9K's group was talking about optimism back here, and I'd never heard about it. I think I bought like a
Yeah, yeah,
thousand
I
bucks.
remember. Yeah, they were all
Theoretical
we
trading, I think, is the guy's name.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that him and we were just. I remember a lot of those guys were really hyped about the airdrop. I think most of us sold too soon.
I still have it, but I think I sold some, but I still have some, and I just leave it. And it's one of the only things like I bought at the end of last year that's up. But yeah, and yeah, I don't know, but it's just Coinbase.
What?
It's going to be Coinbase. But you've seen the thing that really got me excited is you've seen how aggressive the SEC is right now, and you've also seen how gun shy Coinbase is to pissing off the SEC. The fact that
Well,
they
I think
dropped this
today kind of
news.
changed everything. Yeah, today changed everything.
Well, yeah. Well, I think them saying that is and dropping that news means they've checked, they've dotted every I, crossed every T. Um,
Well, I don't know about that. If they're going to be in a whether the SEC goes out and pursues action against them or not. But I think that Armstrong has been pushed around enough and seen that the SEC is not a fair player. They're not willing to cooperate and try to see any reasonability in working with crypto to see how we can properly regulate. Which is pretty sad because Gensler used to be a professor at MIT and taught classes on Bitcoin and blockchain, and the fact that like he's not willing to even speak to these exchanges to understand how we can have proper regulation in the United States is just so frustrating because I was one of the few that disappointingly said Gensler has the possibility of being a good actor and a benefit for the United States, but obviously it has been the complete opposite almost from day one, which is just really really sad. So it makes me think that this guy's got to be he's on the inside. There's no way that he's not. He's a glowy. He's a spook. Like he's in somebody's pocket because if he was all those guys that are coming out of MIT that have gone on and done um, crypto projects like 8bar and some other BS, and they're also the same folks that are partnering with the Federal Reserve to test Project Hamilton, which is the CBDC that the Federal Reserve is testing. There's some clear signs in hindsight that are telling us that we should have always thought that Gensler was just a bad actor for us. He has no benefit to our space, and it's really really sad.
Well, the problem is he has the potential to be that guy. He's fully capable of it, but he's not, and that's the most frustrating part. Is and if you don't, I highly recommend setting alerts on Jesse Powell's Twitter account. He doesn't post too much, but when he does, he's pretty passionate and on point. He's pointed out a bunch of stuff, particularly pissed off since they shut down their DeFi program. I don't know what it is about Gensler. He fucking hates Kraken, and gives them really bad press and bad news. But typically, it's just a slap on the wrist. They pay a few $1,000,000 and they move on. Unfortunately, this last one, he had to shut down an entire department and fire a bunch of people. And it was because he didn't sign up on a website and do a little silly form. And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, let me find it real quick. Yeah, so it was that type of stuff upsets me pretty bad because it's just like he is messing with them pretty bad, and he shouldn't. Like he should be the good guy. Let me find it. There's another, but anyway, the reason I'm saying this is he's talking about this stuff. He's starting to talk about the nastiness of what Gensler could be, and some of his posts are really, really good because what he's talking about is Gary is intentionally not defining what a security is and giving them the rules because as long as he doesn't do that, he can claim jurisdiction and claim power to oversee these guys, and he wants to be able to rain on Jesse Powell any time of the week, right? So some of the stuff that Jesse has alluded to is eventually the big American crypto companies are not going to put up with his shit anymore. And they're going to take him to court and force the courts to define what this stuff is. And then once it's defined there, his hands are tied. Because once it's defined, it's over. They can now go forward with the rules. But like,
we have two ways to approach this in the U.S., and it's either going to be from congressional action, which at this point is going to be a no-go with a split Congress, or the SEC is hell set on it being all settled and setting precedents in court, which is exactly why. And I'm glad we're finally realizing this. And Jesse may have even alluded to it before, but there's a reason why the SEC was going after projects who are decades old and have no presence anymore, like Library Coin, and
they're still battling it out with Ripple.
Right. Oh yeah, and Ripple. But these groups, these the crypto developers, whatnot, they don't at this point. Those old projects don't have the funds that can pay for more than your typical ambulance chaser type of lawyer to be able to defend against the SEC, which is just a town's worth of lawyers to pursue after these small groups. So they want to use the court to set precedents. And Jesse has even said why the Kraken had went and closed down their staking and other things that were part of Gensler's pursuit. And he said they just don't have the funds for it. But he's all for somebody taking that action. And obviously, I think a lot of these crypto exchange, centralized exchange CEOs all speak to each other.
Yes.
Because I do remember back before FTX collapsed, Brian Armstrong had tweeted something and saying like, "Bad things are coming." I know, but I can't say.
Yeah.
So it's really obvious they're in some kind of Telegram group all together speaking to each other. So I'm sure that Jesse already knows what Coinbase's actions they're going to take the SEC to court.
So the way I've kind of read it is I think they might start pooling funds to back lawsuits for one another to help each other pay for the lawyer fees is kind of how I kind of read the tone is like,
yeah.
hey, Coinbase and Kraken and Binance US, etc. Like hey, they're gonna go fuck with one of these guys that we support, here's some lawyers, go take Gensler to court and tie him up for 2 years. And that kind of brings up another point, because you're right. I do, like, there is random SEC news where Gensler comes in and rolls on something, and you're like, that was a crap coin from 2017 that's like not even tradable. Like, what on earth? Why did he pick on Ripple? As much as people hate Ripple, Ripple's still a top 10 coin, I believe, and they've got
Right.
ample
And
funds.
I think had Gensler been in the SEC earlier, before the Ripple case action started, I
Damn
don't
good
think that
point.
Gensler would have gone after XRP. This is just legacy rolled over from previous administrations.
That's a really good point. And frankly, everything I've heard is Ripple's not losing. I've heard they're doing quite well.
Yeah, we keep hearing that, and it pumps the coin. Obviously, it's fun,
Yeah, yeah.
but it just seems really muddy if how well that one's going.
That's yeah. I'm a
You know,
big fan
Jesse's
of.
got Jesse's got a big background in the old Mount Gox days, right?
I did not.
But Kraken is basically what Mount Gox's legacy is. Like a lot
Hmm.
of the old user interface was almost exactly identical.
That's amazing. I mean, this is the weird thing is I used to joke because I used to think Kraken was not a good exchange and they had ridiculous liquidity issues, and now I've come full circle. And now I'm like truly a big supporter of Kraken. Um, and even when I'm joking, like he started liking my stuff and actually followed me, which like what the hell?
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
nice.
He'll reply to comments occasionally, but I've tried to DM him, he won't reply back, but I'm sure
You got
he's
to get him the tools.
yeah. I know he's a OG legend of like Magic the Gathering too. He's like competitive or used to be competitive. Um
You got to ask what his alt is.
what is all what it's he's Che. That'd be great. Yeah. So yeah, Che followed me this week and I don't know what to think about it. It'd be cool to meet that guy in person. But anyway.
Yeah, like I was saying with you earlier today, he's just such a character. He makes coming and checking in on the timeline fun, whether it be a really shitty day in the market or not. But just reading his posts cracks me up
What's crazy is
from all his
I
different
didn't know you took
personas.
it that deep to like translating what he says and what the owl means, because I used to be like that with Tetranode. Like Tetranode used to give out alpha, but it was absolutely buried in a language you wouldn't understand, and you'd have to dig through it. And now he doesn't do that anymore. But I don't know, when you actually hear I watched that one of the first YouTube videos he did. It was like the guide how not to get wrecked for 2 hours. It was an amazing video, like a really really good based video that's like anti all these paid groups and stuff like this, and saying like how the market really is and how the market can destroy you. Stay away from leverage and all this other stuff, while he's also talking about like
He's the
partying.
best crypto boomer that's
Yeah,
still around, and willing to give really good advice and not be shit on by reply guys all the time.
yeah. I wonder, yeah, I, how many alt accounts do you think there really are?
Well, we know if he said three, but I know that there are way more than that.
Because that's the problem. Is there's what? How many? I mean, like I see so many of these goblin in it or posts, but he's starting to do YouTube and Twitch, which I thought was interesting. But he may be getting bored. I used to read the Substacks of the other one, and they are an absolute trip. And I can't speak about them in here because I'll get banned. But I don't know. I thought I was assuming there was like 10 of them, but I don't know. Hell, maybe there
Yeah,
are.
I don't want to give away the secrets, but he definitely has more than three.
Uh, did anybody ever buy his NFT project?
So you're talking about the Goblin Arrows?
Yeah, it was 420 ETH.
Well, yeah, yeah. They started off really really cheap, and this was actually it wasn't him that created the NFTs. It was Mothlamp. But Mothlamp was on tweeting and said, "Hey, if anybody wants a goblin, DM me with reference material and I'll make one for you." And so many people started to ask for one that he said, "Well, I'll what I want to do is let's mint these, and I will take the proceeds and give him towards a he will donate them towards like it was like an animal donation rescue center or something like that. That one I actually handmade. This is not one that Mothlamp made, but I did end up going and buying, bidding for a few, or minting and bidding for a few other gobos.
It's so fun. That's all I can call it. It's fun.
The community is really funny. So we all end up following. It's like a follow for follow type of mentality. Um, and I seeing these guys on my timeline cracks me up all the time. They're always making memes. They're really funny. So I would definitely recommend going and checking a lot of these guys out.
That's funny. Old Panda. I don't even think I knew who he was 2 years ago. I think I've only picked up on him in the past year.
Fu
Mm-hmm.
slash Che, yeah. I don't. I know every. I remember. I wasn't really following him too much, but I know back when, deep as we were going deep into the bear market, him talking about following sentiment and kind of using the fear and greed index as a way for him to say like, oh, I need to start paying attention now. And then before that, I knew of him, but everybody always mocked the fact that he spoke in third person. But once you find the other alt accounts, you start to realize that everyone's just a persona. That's not he doesn't speak in third person in real life or anything like that. He's not some kind of like weirdo.
Yeah.
This account has a specific persona.
Yeah. He's. Because I remember I was talking to you about it one day, and I was like, he's talking in third party, and I'm like, Che's saying a lot of the same stuff, and you're like, Che is Fu. And I was like, oh, okay, this make a lot of sense. Because I was like, this is a really dedicated alt account, like alt fan, and it's like it acts like Fu, but hell, it was Fu.
It was really funny when the account Che first started to show up. He would post maybe once a month and put a poll up and say, "Do you know what my alt is?" Or "Do you know what my main is?" or something like that.
That's funny. Um, I wanted to ask you about this one. This is
Yeah, I
Costco.
think you think this is yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but you might be onto something. It does feel very long distributive, and other. When I think of big, long, drawn out distributions like this, the first one that comes to mind is the Russell, and how that was.
This one, Russell Metals. No, what is Russell?
It's it's like mid cap small businesses, like not something that's not listed on the S&P.
Is it on TradingView?
Yeah,
What's the ticker?
yeah, there you go. You could do the mini. That's RTY or RUT is the 2000. That's the main index. Yeah, this is just futures. But yeah, pull it on over between 2021 and 2022. That was a pretty long drawn out. Everybody thought this was going to be reaccumulation, and it did break out to the top, caught a lot of people off sides, and instantly sold off. Went back to the other side of the
Wow.
range and started to break down. It was actually a really in hindsight, like this is a case study because this is a beautiful way of looking at distribution.
Yeah. This is something that I always watch to not get baited on. Is a weaker color drive that's a higher high. Like you can see the party stopped, but like this didn't print any purples, and there was no volume follow through. Like there's no
Oh, good point. Yeah.
because my big thing is if the bulls spend the money or the energy to break through resistance, which was 2365, and the apes don't show up, they're not committed. That's my take on it. Because like if they bang their head on that wall to knock out the sellers, but there's no follow through, it's a bull trap. And that's crazy too. Is the HMA printed a hidden bear div? That's really cool. Let me turn on the HMA because it's off. The bear div still print without it, but and let me turn channel walker off. Yeah. So there's the bear div, and then there's the hidden bear div. Which is crazy.
Yeah, that was right around the time I think the Dow Jones was heading back into its distribution range, and we all thought we were heading for another leg up. Yeah, October. Yeah, everybody. This is the S&P started to look like it was gonna bounce. It was an it caught a lot of people off sides. This is obviously a few months later. The entire bear market for everything starts.
Yeah, yeah.
This was the last blow off top.
Yeah, let me show you this real quick on because this is only something I've learned how to do in the past year, I think. Maybe 2 years. There is well, actually no. It was here. That's a creek call. That's another story. But um, screw it. If you guys want to learn alpha, here it is. So this one caught a lot of people, and this was the chop chop accumulation that we had at the beginning of February 22. And this is where we were just talking about Barts, and it was Bart after Bart after Bart, and that's when like the Discord really starting to form as people like started realizing you can actually trade these Bart Simpsons, um, which took me forever to figure out because I used to get chewed up by these. Let me go back to it on 4 hour. Yeah.
While you're getting set up, I see somebody in the chat asking about oil, and we should take a look at natural gas after this. When you
For
get a
sure.
minute.
But since you were talking, since this is since I saw it, you can see here we had top, and we had a pivot that printed over there, and this pivot was being respected, but we printed a higher high, and that was a bull trap. Because so many people set their alerts as soon as it's above 48, we're all in.
Breakup the entire year. Breakout traders got hosed,
and there's no volume. The apes don't show up. The apes never showed up. The bulls would work up, and then it was a bear trap, and we caught that one, and then we caught this one too. And I covered it earlier in the stream, but that one right there, we fully called that out on the Discord and in Twitter. We're like, that's a trap. It's a higher high, but it's weaker, and there's no volume. So real skittish of those. And just a quick one, because I've covered it on the really old streams. Be real careful, because this one I got burned on, and I studied it and I learned not to get burned on it. When you're in the middle of these death wick or accumulation ranges and your bounce is the bottom, you will get oftentimes a really strong drive, and you'll print higher highs than the beginning of the accumulation range. But when you start getting really bullish here, keep in mind this might be the beginning of a Wyckoff Creek. And that's exactly what happened here. This is a Wyckoff Creek, and then it jumped it, right? Be really careful of those. So when you're in the middle of like a range and it goes really hot, get real skittish here. Don't risk and give it back. Expect this to be like a mountain.
That creek was beautiful too, where it finally starts to break out, forms that little W, and then it ends up retesting that downtrend line.
Yeah, let me show you the chart real quick, because a lot of people don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because not all the Wyckoff charts reference the creek, and I started calling it a mountain. I'm looking up the charts right now. Hold on. Yeah, so here it is. Let me switch back. Yep. So this is an accumulation chart that actually shows it. And what they call is like jumping the creek is you'll get this downward and then it'll jump, and you'll get a spring and you'll jump across the creek is kind of what the idea is. You can look up actual Wyckoff charts and just look up creek. You have to form the mountain before it forms the creek that goes downhill, and then eventually she jumps it. And that's what all this was. This is the chop, and then boom. And I remember this one vividly. I was at the grocery store at HEB getting a pickup order during COVID. And I called Crypto Jack on that candle and said, that's it. That's bottom.
If you got that, you're really good, because I don't know too many of my friends that saw this as a spring up until it was back at, I don't know. Like I remember trading this and seeing that the EG Cloud looked really good at that right after it came back up, and it was setting itself up for. Hey, do you have your cloud indicator?
Do you want Josh's or standard?
Yeah, put it on Josh's.
But I remember I called him right before it, and he's like, "Nope, nope, nope. We're going lower." I'm like, weaker colors," because he was saying lower, low, and I was like, "No, it's weaker colors on this drive." I said, "That's it. They tapped out. The colors rotated." And then literally 2 hours later, we had the biggest 1 hour candle in like Bitcoin's history or something like
Do
that.
you remember how bearish the timeline was then? We all thought the world was going to end.
I know. I kept and dude, this is where we had so many passionate phone calls, like arguing. I'm like, I told him, I was like, 30K's in. That's it. That's the bot. That is the death wick bottom. He's like, no, 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 we're going to 20. The colors were too wild. So I bought some of this stuff. I got chopped up here, but I called that one, and then we rode back up. But it's just the basis of it though is the colors here were really clear to me. You can see how we had the death wick, we had preliminary support there, but the death wick was there, right?
We didn't have pivots yet back then, did we?
No. This was just, I was really just going off OG colors. We had a second drive down at white. We had a drive here with yellows. We had a really bad shakeout here, but it was just a wick. And then we had a weaker orange, and then this one was slightly lower, but they failed to bounce it through and print any wicks, and they hung. And when I saw it hang over, I was like, that's it. They're done.
And yeah, in hindsight, with pivots, this is so much easier to read.
Yeah.
With confidence.
Shout out to Doppel, because he's the reason we have these.
Wasn't trying to flex, but thank you.
You're welcome. No, they're one of my favorite things that we've added, and I was like, you're like, hey, can you add this? And I was like, I don't know if that's possible, but I'll take a look. You wanted to see Boyle.
Yeah, take a look at. Let's just start with natural gas. So put up the natural gas futures NG1.
Oh, is this what? Hold on. You wanted to see or Ichimoku? What did you want to see Ichimoku on?
Ichimoku at this breakdown. I think go to the daily. Yeah. Or maybe just try like the 8 hour.
I'm gonna have to add that one.
Oh, 4. Try 4.
There's 8. I just had to add it real quick. It's no big deal.
Yeah, it wasn't until it broke over that flat Kumo that I was on board.
Rejection. Tap, tap, tap. Try 12 hour. Yeah. I was watching A-Stacks today, and that's all he looks at is the Tenkin and the Kijin. He doesn't look at the lagging span, and he uses B-bands. That's it.
Yeah, and I love that trading style because that's exactly how I use B-bands too. Although he's just using the traditional settings, which I know he trades a lot of equities though, so it makes sense.
But, well, it's kind of the other thing that was interesting was I was asking him like, how do you get the feeling that you're going to cut through a cloud instead of just doing an edge to edge and then dying? And he dropped the alpha. It was saying he watches the curve of the B band. I was like,
yep, yeah.
I was like, what do you mean the curve of the B band? And he was talking about this soldier. Let me find.
So if you read and study a little bit about Bollinger, like it's easy to read the band, but he actually has whole trade setups, almost like patterns. That you can learn, and how he sees how Ace uses the bands is pretty similar. Like he obviously knows more than just I can pull up the indicator and get a good feel of when I should buy and sell, but he knows how to play it to the T, like selling at the top of when the reversion is going to happen.
So what Ace was telling me today in the chat was saying is it's this. He watches that one, which I thought
20?
I was like, that's just the SMA 20.
Right. So here's another thing: is the B bands is really, really powerful. In you'll see if you go on FinTwit, you'll see a lot of those guys that talk about they use a lot of different terms that I have not accustomed to yet, but they're obviously trading. Oh, they're talking about deviations mostly, like standard deviations 1, 2, such, and it's what they're really talking about is B bands. And if the trend is holding above the 20, then like Kem Karsan, when he talks about during OPEX when a bounce is ready to happen because of the selling that will happen leading up into OPEX and the flows that he's monitoring and options. If he has like a rule set where if it's holding above the midpoint in the B bands, then it's set for a bounce. So if you start to follow a lot of the FinTwit guys, you'll start to realize that they do use a lot of B bands.
It's a cool one. I've messed with it a bunch. I've changed the SMA settings and I've tried to add VWAP stuff to it before, but it's interesting because it's and I use it in some of my bots as well. The the fact you can get you can create interesting stop loss and take profit metrics based on how this thing squeezes. So you can get trailing stops and stuff like that based off the squeezes that really help out. But what was the Boyle? That was what it is. We'll switch over to that real quick because he's being super patient. Oh, this is natural gas is dying.
Well, this is like a high leverage natural gas.
Is it one of those decaying
ETF.
ones that's like
Yeah.
UVXY?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get my
But look at those RSI prints. I mean,
yeah.
it's taken all year, but
Uh, turn B band off. Visible range. That's wild. So the orange band is the machine learning version, and it is punching hard, really really bad. It's almost impossible to hang in this orange this long.
so Malifestro and I have been talking about natural gas a lot in your Discord. He's trading UNG, and he sees a really good setup right now where your invalidation is really easy to find, and it's similar to if you were just to pull up the chart's nearly identical to natural gas futures. But yeah, if you look at that today, we finally got some sort of reaction, which gives us a sign that we have some life here finally after going down nonstop for almost 3 months straight or more. I think it was like 6 months at this point. But I am fairly bullish on natural gas for fundamental reasons. And I think it's easy right now to enter the trade and know when to exit.
Shit. That's
But we've been talking about this for a couple weeks, and it's finally showing like something's here.
like the 6 hour bottom signal is rare, and it just finally printed one after that big of a drop. Right? You guys are on to something. Let me look at 12. I normally won't get bottom signals on the 12 hour. It's just the way that bot is. But look at 4. Now I'm interested. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust everything and get this to look right. There you go. There's your prices. There's that. Okay, cool. Yeah, the top signals everything, but she's been why is the reason natural gas has been going down is because the winter wasn't so bad?
Right. So why it wasn't going down so, or why it's been going down so bad is even though, okay, so one, natural gas is hard to transport, way harder than trading oil. Oil is really easy. You can put it in any kind of container and it will be stable. But you're familiar, right? You work in something that's involved
Yeah,
in
I
oil or
do
gas.
crude, not natural gas, but
Hmm. But it's way harder to transport natural gas. So you have to liquefy it, and that's expensive. So it becomes cost inhibitive for the United States, which has an abundance of natural gas discovered through our um, research into fracking and such. And because it's so cost inhibitive to ship, we end up in the United States having an abundance because you can't turn it off, right? You can't close your well. You just have to capture it or burn it, and we end up with some of the cheapest gas prices in the world because of it. Because we either have to use it or we can't get it out. So now that our it's the plan was, or it seems that the United States will is at a point where natural gas will be more cost effective at these prices from mid to early 2022, and we'll just ship it. If the Europeans shut off Russia, they'll be we will be the exporter that gets them through this rut. Um, And it was actually, some people say that the reason that the United States has been able to stay away from an economic recession for so long is because we are now just one of the largest exporters of natural gas. And we've been able to ship it off. We were like the primary exporter to Europe. Um,
I have a story about this. I don't deal with it in my day job, but I have run across. There's a special type of boat for LNG that looks like this, and these are pressurized domes with the liquefied
yeah,
natural gas. And there's a certain bay we fish that offloads this, and it's one of the only places I think in my state that offloads liquid natural gas. And they were bringing in one of these boats through the channel, and the Coast Guard's swarming it like a freaking pack of bees. And they they drove up to our fishing boat like with a guy manning their belt fed machine gun on the nose of this boat. Ran right up to us. We're like, oh my god! And they flag us and they tell us like, follow us to the T, and then we'll get you by the boat, and then you got to leave. And we're like, okay, because we were just trying to get offshore to go fishing, and we followed them and whatnot. We later found out these LNG boats are basically like atomic bombs. Like
yeah,
if someone sabotages this, you could lose half a city.
oh yeah.
It's so volatile. And basically, the Coast Guard just does armed transport to make sure terrorists and stuff don't mess with them. But I remember specifically, it looks just like an oil tanker, but it's got domes. And
Yeah,
these are
right.
spherical, pressurized cells that keep that stuff liquefied. And I was like, oh, buddy.
So the only downside is right as the as natural gas was skyrocketing because we were all worried about what the repercussions of the Russian and Ukrainian war was going to be. Um, Natural gas or LNG is still so new, and uh, we just don't have the infrastructure to send, and also the other countries, say Germany, don't have the infrastructure to receive. It's way cheaper to transport gas over pipeline, just like anything else. It's way cheaper to send over a pipeline than it would be to put on a ship and pack it and then unpack it. Um, so one of the biggest ports that the US has to export LNG had been down for basically the entire last year and is still not even entirely operational to continue exports right now. Yeah, you're pulling it up. It's what's the name of it?
I'm
I
trying to
can't
find
remember
where
off the
we,
top of
where
my
we
head.
do it because it's where they offload it. There it is. LNG terminal. So if you actually see this in person, there's some really really cool.
Yeah, and
It's
you'll see this one. This one's a little bit different, but it's the same thing. It's just cylindrical or whatever.
yeah
Not
yeah, but
cylindrical. It's shaped like a cigar.
there's these weird automated arms that are gigantic here that
That may
reach
even be
over.
the receiving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it plugs into the boat and it brings out the LNG. Then the LNG gets pumped out here. But like all this stuff is like heavily guarded. Um, yeah, there's pressurized tanks, and it's the cool thing too is when they're transporting these ships worldwide, the engines of the actual transport ships are designed to run off the actual natural gas, so they don't have to
Oh,
fuel
that's
up.
great. I believe that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
So then the other fundamental reasons are if reshoring is going to happen and if it's too cost inhibitive to ship natural gas, well, if we're going to be moving industry back to the United States or at least bordering near the United States, say Mexico or Canada, most likely Mexico, again, sending it over a pipeline is way easier. So like we talked about and why I'm bullish on Mexico and on like a 5-year timeline is we are the biggest trade partners. Our biggest trade partner as of a year or two ago is become Mexico. So imagine sending all of that natural gas that you get from going to Houston. It's easy to now just build a pipeline and send it all the way over to, to Mexico for their Monterrey is a huge industrial center for them. So it's pretty easy.
My question here is, I just don't know how this is going to fly with the cartels, because the only one that used to play ball with like the governments was the Sinaloa cartel, and like we took El Chapo is in the United States, and then I think they got his son. So like the one that would actually play ball and not be as violent as the others is kind of deteriorating. So I'm curious how they, because like if America is going to push into Monterey and do all this manufacturing and like opening up, like this territory has to be better controlled. Like that, like America will not put up with all that violence, because like Matamoros and Reynosa, like these places are crazy dangerous. Like the odds of you even being able to drive a 4-wheel drive pickup to Monterey without getting the truck taken is like slim to none. Like it's something's going to have to happen. I don't know what, but maybe part of that trade agreement is American forces in here babysitting it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I talked about over on your Discord. This either goes one of two routes. We either decide that Mexico and the United States are going to have a friendly relationship and be able to control the cartels and be cooperative with cross-border transportation, or Mexico with the cartels ends up having it has the same geographical composition of, yeah, look at all these mountains and hills. It looks exactly like Afghanistan. And if the United States had a terrible time trying to control insurgents in Afghanistan, it's exactly the same sort of geography. And if we're going to compare um, the uh, Taliban to something, obviously the cartel is not a far stretch.
No, they're much deadlier. Like they're much more organized. They're better funded. Like they're very very respectable opponent. Like they're like, I forgot what report there was, but it's like 10 years ago. I think it was the CIA. It might have been the FBI. They did a report of all the major cartels in Mexico, and they were flat out saying like they didn't think Mexico's government was going to make it. Like they thought it was going to actually flip. The Mexico government was going to fall, and then the cartels were going to have a turf war to see who actually gets to run it and turn into a huge civil war. Um, because that's that. I mean, that's my thing is like the Sinaloa one. They were, it's a cartel, but like you compare Sinaloa to like the Zetas. The Zetas were a whole different breed, and if the Sinaloas are fractured, the more violent ones are going to come up in these regions, and that's where you were saying is like I don't know how they deal with it, because the violence has been getting up, and it's unfortunate, but what drug war isn't, I guess. It's crazy. It sucks too. This is such a beautiful country. I used to visit this place a lot.
So, in the reason it goes one of two ways, and that there's no other way out, and you just have to hope for the most bullish outcome, is it's obvious that one, Chinese manufacturing has become too costly. It is one of the in Asia. It is now way more cost effective to move your manufacturing to a Vietnam or a Thailand or India than it is China. And if relationships between the United States and China are going to continue to deteriorate like we obviously have, Mexico makes sense because it is cheap and easy to move goods across a border than it is to bring everything into one of the two or three ports on the West Coast that can handle that kind of import. Seattle, LA, Oakland. But when you have uh, one of the largest borders between two countries in the world, I think when I looked it up, it was like the 10th. It's so much cheaper to move those goods between the multiple states that border the United States and the Mexican states. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of those not the exact border cities, but the larger ones, your Monterey's, those are heavy industrial areas or industrial cities.
Yeah, I know Ford's pioneered a lot of that, and a lot of the issues with like it's just the cost of labor in China is not an advantage anymore. They've lost it due to
Exactly.
their population.
Yep.
Um, I wonder if there's trains that go through this border as well. I believe there are because the
Th-
Ford
there
F,
definitely is.
yeah, because that's the other thing is if you've got trains set up, it's a real easy sell because that's the cheapest um, form of transportation as long as they're not blowing up. Sorry, too soon. Yeah, I agree. The one thing is I wanted to ask you, and I haven't asked you this, that if Mexico gets set up for a big industrial spike, what's gonna, what is Mexico gonna get short on? Maybe that's a material or something that this region's
Um,
going to need that would be potentially looking at charts like, hey,
yeah,
they need coal,
lithium.
they need lithium, stuff like that.
Well, the United States is gonna provide the natural gas, but
For
they
sure.
have large abundance of lithium available to them in like the Sonoran area, um, and yeah, let's pull up some lithium mines and see if we can find
I don't
one.
know if it'll come up in Mexico, but
But I know that it
Nevada.
it's there's a reason why that Arizona has been targeted by TSMC to build a fabrication for future processors in the Southwest, and it's because places like Nevada and Mexico have those rare minerals that you need in order to fabricate silicon in processors like that. So it makes sense.
Have you seen how close SpaceX is to Mexico?
Yeah, yeah, it's like right there on the border, isn't it? Isn't Space City right down there?
Right here. That's where I saw Elon Musk in person.
That's cool.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah, there it is.
This is not up to date. He was. He was walking on the side of the road, and I was like, "I'll be damned, that looks just like Elon Musk." And he had like 3 or 4 people around him, and then he had a little dog with him, and I was like, I just kept driving by because we were going to the beach, and I was like, I don't, okay, sure, that's Elon Musk, right? And then it struck me, I was like, who the fuck at SpaceX gets to bring a dog? And then I googled what Elon Musk's dogs look like, and it was the little Shih Tzu, the little black Shih Tzu, the baby one, the smaller one. And I was like, I'll be damned. I was like, I really, and it was right after he had like crushed some crypto projects. Like I would have gladly yelled something out the window at him. I think it was
So
after he sold Bitcoin. I think I would have yelled at him for that.
I see Malfestro's in the chat, and he brings up a great point. A chart that I love, and I have to have you look at with me, is the Mexican peso against U.S. dollar.
Uh,
So MXN USD.
T. No. Oh, it is.
M, M, yeah, there you go.
It has a tether. Uh, I do not do.
Pull it out to the weekly.
Oh, this is gonna murder it. Hold on.
And yeah, just turn off the indicators. All right. So there's only a handful of currencies in the world who have been as strong against the US dollar as anything. Or there's only a handful of currencies that have been strong against the US dollar since COVID. And the Mexican peso is now breaking over the black swan of COVID. And it's looking pretty strong. I did not expect it to break over. I expected this to hit resistance and do some sort of retrace, but look at the way it just keeps on curving up. It's pretty crazy.
Hmm. I don't like. I don't look at this stuff a lot, so bear with me. Did I get rid of Channel Walker? No, there's just not enough data for it. You're right.
You're
Especially
not going to find
these
you're
wicks.
you're
Whack
not going to
whack
find
whack.
any other you're not going to find any other currency in the world that has been this strong for the past 3 years than the Mexican peso has.
So I guess my question is, what runs when the Mexico peso runs?
Well, you want to look for those ETFs that are like Mexican future, industrial, whatever. You want to look for those ETFs that have like just general Mexican exposure.
Hmm. I wonder if the oil companies in Mexico are gonna rock. Is it Pemex? I forgot what the government, well, it's a government one. It's like Petrobras in Brazil. What is their name? I think it's Pemex, but I don't know if it's got a ticker. I know some of my relatives used to work with them back in the day. No, it's a very good point. Interesting turn, and especially if this lines up with the narrative that like we're gonna, because it's of all the things the Biden administration has done, which there's a lot, and not of it all of it's good. But well, we're not gonna go there. But there is one thing: is they did realize the gap in the United States' capacity to make silicone chips, so they subsidized silicone chip production in the United States with a recent bill. I think it was like 6 months ago. That's actually really good because it's going to jumpstart the gap that we have with this us pulling manufacturing out of China. Um, if that's the case, and we're going to start shoehorning that, and they're also going to shoehorn it into Mexico, that would maybe be looking at maybe the what they're going to be setting up as far as not in the United States. There may be some, because that's the other thing too, is traditionally in the past, the United States has taken manufacturing back in like the 90s that was shut down due to the EPA. They basically moved it across the border and then set those shops back up in Mexico due to the more lackluster EPA. Maybe there's something there with this lithium mining and what they're going to be doing to make these EV cars. I don't know. Maybe not, but that'd be something I would maybe stick my nose in. Because I don't want to long a peso, but I would want to long like what are the strong Mexican companies that are focused on manufacturing that's going to be offsetting the China manufacturing. And I don't know that answer. I'm just saying that's what I would be focused on. Because I know like Ford has gone heavy into Mexico as far as manufacturing. They don't make a lot of their trucks anymore in the United States. And even like the aftermarket OEM parts, or not aftermarket, the OEM like replacement parts, they're making them over there as well. But they're basically just setting up United States manufacturing plants straight up in Mexico.
So if you want to look at just an easy way for you to get exposure into the Mexican market, you can pull up MXF, just a Mexico fund, and other things that are like this, ETFs and such, that are a bundle of Mexican stocks, companies, and such. This looks very similar to how the peso is or had just broken out.
I'm just trying to get a reference here. I want to see. So that did round over in 08, and then COVID here. But then the rest is not. Okay. This thing's been around a while. Yeah, if this is another one. If this bottoms, this kind of looks like.
Yeah, it looks very similar to how the peso looked
Yeah.
just a moment ago. So it's things you're gonna find if you're looking hard enough. You'll find things like this.
That's cool. Let's see how much. Yeah, there's much more range in this one. There was only like 112% in the peso. This is like 400%. That'd be awesome.
And it may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. It may not even happen 2 years from now. But on, I think, a 5-year time horizon.
Yeah, for sure. The time frame to bring the semiconductor chips, which is the biggest crux of the automotive industry right now, is takes a long time. Making silicone chips is not hard. Making silicone chips of that quality is hard, right? Like
Right.
making stuff that can go into automobiles and not turn off when a family's going 80 miles an hour. Those are expensive chips. And that's been like one of the biggest things. Like I'm shocked with on this Ford chart is it's Ford is turning down orders left and right. Ford is literally in a downtrend because they can't get chips. I've had a friend who ordered a 2022 Bronco in 2021, and they called him up about a month ago and told him like, "Hey, we're canceling your order. You can reorder again, but it's going to be a 2024 model." and the price is going to go up. And he's like, are you kidding me? He's like, I have a down payment for this 2022 that you never delivered, and it's 2023. And they're like, yeah, we're canceling it, right? And he's mad as hell. Because he did everything right by the book, and Ford's just like flat out is Ford is turning away customers. So like they have people lined up to buy their products, and they can't meet demand, and it's literally we've had a downward channel walk that's then turned into like three Bart Simpsons.
Yeah, that 3 drives, or maybe it's some sort of Gartley. This, if this comes back down to the downside, and
Ugly.
meets that support, no, this I love it. I would want to definitely want to long near $11. This
Oh
looks
yeah,
great.
yeah.
This is
But I'm saying if it goes below 10, oof. But yeah, I agree too. Because this is the thing is like I've never seen a company so big turning down clients. Like in 2022, they basically, I think it was by the time they were like in May or June timeframe, they said no more truck orders, because unless you're ordering a Raptor, you're going to order a 2023, like, and that'll be next year. We're not delivering them in 2022 early. Like, we'll get to you next year. And it's like that's the number one selling truck in America, or vehicle in America, is an F-150, and they stopped orders. And um, did you ever see the pile of Broncos that are staged?
no.
There's something like 60,000 Broncos staged in a parking lot that do not have computers in them. Let me see
You
if I can
don't
find it.
know where they source, do they? Do you?
That's the pile of Broncos. They literally have built the trucks,
That's
and
funny. This was supposed
there's
to be like the hottest car of what, 2022.
I want one so bad.
Do you?
I just wish they'd make one without. I don't like the EcoBoost engines. If they
They're
could,
gonna end up having to make a whole new model by the time these things finally leave the lot.
so these are literally sitting out there in the sun with gas aging in them, and they don't have ECUs. That's it. All these, like, it's I've heard it's up to like fifty
Where do you
thousand.
know? Do you know where this plant is?
I
Where are they
don't.
making them? Oh, okay, I'd be interested.
For This says Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, they make all the
it's
new stuff in Michigan, so that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. I thought this was insane. Is like I've never seen someone not like they can check they can they're turning away customers. Like that's insane. But if they fix that, sky's the limit.
It, you know what? The more I think about that story, though, the more I'm kind of scared for Ford's future. Because if they weren't able to see the issues that were coming with China soon enough, how much longer until they're able to turn it around?
Well,
Because
the
some of
problem
these
is,
companies have already figured it out. Like even Apple was late to the game, but they're not suffering immensely like this chart looks.
was it Hong Kong or was it Taiwan that screwed it up? Because is it Hong Kong that's the number one silicone chip, or is it Taiwan?
Taiwan.
Taiwan
Yeah.
is.
But they okay, so Taiwan and TSMC, they make the really, really small nanometer, like the thing that requires the guy that have 7 PhDs and this handful of different computer science fields. But I think that goes in a car. I think is something that you could probably make in any country that's modern.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Ford's been caught with their pants down. I think it was 3 years ago. They had to stop all Ford truck production because there was only one plant in the world that was making the dashes, and the plant burned to the ground. So they literally had to stop production of the F-150s and 250s and 350s because they had no dash panels. And it was like, you guys really only did one place to make the cheap plastic dashboards? And it was like, yes,
Yep.
sir.
That's the world. Like if you didn't catch on to that sooner, you're screwed for an entire decade. You should have caught on to this trend pretty quick. I mean, before COVID, it was obvious that it was becoming cost inhibitive to keep relying on single source globalized trade lines and not have any other substitute. It's like having your all-star shortstop or second baseman and he's out for 45 games of the season and you're a playoff contender and he's injured for half the season or whatever. And you have no backup, and you have to pull from the rookies. You have to go into the farm league to find some guy that can try to or sign some ancient has been. Like, but they couldn't even find the free agent has been. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And is I mean, even that, like, even if you're not like on the world conflict, like, okay, what if a hurricane, what if a natural disaster took them out, right? Like, that's another thing you could get, like, hey,
it's
something.
probably, you know what? It's probably for the benefit because then they can just tax right off or insurance.
Oh, there you go. But check this out. We just got another H4 Tesla top. Like, every single one of these since
Yeah, that was a big run though, huh?
2021 has been dead on, except that one got tricked up and that one a little bit. But every
I know a
single one of
few
these tops, and
I know a few people were watching this specific chart as when the rally would end, when our general bear market rally would end, and you clearly printed a top here.
yeah, I mean, because people will ask me like, "Oh, what do you think's going to happen?" Blah blah blah, and I was like, "Hey, this thing's 90% right for the past 24 months. It may be wrong, and this may run up, but like, I don't fade this bot on H4 Tesla. I just don't like this. You at least bring your stops up, but you damn sure this is not long resistance season. But because it caught I think this one was Elon's brother sold, and I think that's when Elon sold, and it caught both of them within a candle. And then this one just printed today, 23rd. No, yesterday. I didn't notice it till today, but this is one of my favorite things with Runnerbot is H4 defaults, and it does very very well. I mean, like flat out, it's like this is cheating. Not to toot my own horn, but like for whatever reason, Tesla whales blow this thing up. Even the color rotations here and the RSI. Um,
Man, that gap is wild.
that one, yeah. I mean, this is you got to remember, like they came. So Elon went from like electric car, the world. He's gonna save the world to he's the devil. Like he went, he's the Nazi of the week, and they tried to ruin him. And now they've done the bounce. And I what was this? 100% run on spot. It was a great run. 80, 91 from the very very bottom. It's 115. Yeah, 115% on spot. We look at it a lower time frame. Yeah. Check out the RSIs. That's so cool. Greens to blues to purples to pinks. Rolled over. Same thing here. They went to whites to oranges to reds to none with a TP print. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like there's certain whales that just print really, really, really consistent colors, and the bot aspects of the tools are really, really keen on them. Tesla is like the best one that I've found as far as like traditional stocks.
Well, you've built it to work with the stocks that your demo would want to trade. So
Yes and no.
the,
Yeah, I guess. Like it really likes oil and it really likes Tesla, but that's like not by design. It just does like it just likes it. I don't know why, but it's the way that people like um it's the way the whales move. Like Apple whales move real close to how Tesla whales do. They're just less volatile. Oil moves really interesting, but that's a worldwide commodity, right? So that's a long discussion, but it's for whatever reason, yeah, this is not good. I don't think we're going to sustain above 206 unless something crazy. That's the other thing too, though, is Tesla can news pump really, really hard. But I can't think of anything that's going to news pump it unless. I mean, the Tesla truck's going to news pump it a little bit, but not a lot, in my opinion.
that thing's been so delayed at this point, isn't
It's
it?
so cool, though. I want one so bad.
So here, you seem like a guy that. Do you have a truck?
I have a Tundra.
Okay. Would you rather have the Cybertruck over, if you wanted an E-truck, would you rather have the Cybertruck over the F-150 E-Class, whatever that is?
Oh yeah, the F1 Raptor's a turd. Um, it's real bad. Just Ford messed it up. Um, but I don't really like F-150s in general. Um, I think it's so flat out. It looks like a
Okay.
video game thing. So I want it. I mean, it could have a gas engine in it. I just like how it looks. It's so
What about the
stupid.
what about the Rivian?
No, I do not like the way those look, and they are ungodly expensive. Why do you ask?
No, I just saw somebody in chat mentioned it. So
Look at the craze retops, but the stocks look good. Rivian had a really bad recall. All the ball joints were snapping in half. Um, I don't know. I've only seen like two of them, but I will say this: the new Hummer is fine. I saw one.
they brought him back?
Have you not seen it?
No, I didn't even know they brought him back.
It's a $250,000 e vehicle.
Does somebody own the name now? Is it not? It's not the original manufacturer,
It's
is it?
GM. They brought
Is
back.
it?
Yeah, they're
Wow.
like $200,000. They are fine.
Okay,
Like
so they're just like a beefed up Rivian.
I guess, but I've seen one and it was white like that and had Star Trooper seat covers. It was so cool. But they're not even like 60 grand. They're like 150, 200 grand to get one plus the dealer markup. Like if you want one now, you got to have over $250,000 and you're going to get an electric Hummer. But I mean, like, dude, there's people off-roading these things. Like they're legit, but like we've really strayed afar from the whole idea of electric vehicles being
Oh,
like
I
save
remember
the
when these
world.
came back now. Yeah, Biden was in, he had like a photo op with these. I
Yeah.
remember this now.
But there's Toyota. What's the Rivian stock ticker? RVN.
RVIN? RIVN?
Oh,
This was an IPO this year, or last year, though. So you got to look at it like you look at coin.
look at those RSI prints. Yeah, speaking of coin, I heard Domino's dumped today. I know a lot of my Robinhood bros were trying to trade all this. They were constantly quoting Kathy Wood, which is not a good thing.
Biggest fade of the century.
Have you seen some of the interviews recently where they were like they show her fund today and they're like, you guys didn't outdo the S&P, but like their chart looks like this, and then here's Kathy Woods. It's like you guys didn't catch.
No, it's like they didn't sell at all.
No, it's crazy. You know, Leverage Monkey ran into her group one time.
Yeah, I think you told me last time we were on stream. You said
Man.
that you saw when they all pulled up in their Teslas at some restaurant, right?
Yeah, he said something like 20 something Teslas rolled into the parking lot all at the same time. He's like, "What the hell's going on?"
It's a cult. I've heard or watched other interviews with not Kathy but other people that are analysts or whatever for their fund, and they all speak the same. They all talk this utopia. It's clearly they're all drinking the same Kool-Aid. They're all smelling each other's farts.
Is this it? No. What is Kathy Wood's group?
I forget it. It is anybody in chat now? ARK.
That's
ARK.
right. Arc
KK.
Best.
And they
Yeah,
have like three different.
well, there used to be more. She cut or it's
She closed a
ARK.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah, ARK.
I'll be damn. The TP signal's really good on Arc. Damn good. Whoa. I want to throw the cloud on that.
I think there is an inverse ARK. Um,
Someone, yeah, there's an inverse
it,
Kramer and inverse Arc, I think.
it came out before the inverse Kramer. Yeah.
That's what I like about Josh's setting. It's such a good run for the trend, and it's just like, cut it.
something that's super volatile, the more volatile it is, the more that his settings are really nice.
Yeah. He's been quiet a lot lately. I haven't seen
Well,
him post
he's
more.
working for he's still posting on. Okay, so he may not be posting on Twitter as much, but he recently posted to his personal YouTube channel. So he's not like in an NDA with Valkyrie where he can't speak about anything. But so he does on his YouTube channel. He still posts a video maybe once a quarter, maybe sometimes more. But he'll on the Valkyrie YouTube channel, he does a weekly YouTube sync up, figuring out what he thinks about the market.
He's if you don't know who Carpe Noctem is, go find him. He's who I cut all my teeth on. Highly recommend him. Respectable dude. Um, can you explain the B Cash China trade?
So we're fade anything that's like Chinese narratives at this point. Like last weekend was the peak top of that. In my mind, I could be wrong, but okay. So BCH, I don't entirely know how BCH became a China trade.
That's why I was like looking at it. I was like, I've made fun of Ver for so long, but I was like, I don't know
I,
of
I
any China connections except for CH in the name.
so this BCH was the last one of the China trade. China coin's good to pump, and my thought is if this was the last one to pump, then we were at the point where the Western traders were just looking for anything that we thought was a China coin, and China was looking at anything that they thought the Americans thought was a China coin. Like this was late in the narrative, and that's why BCH had really no reason to pump, but it did. It looked like a great chart, and so I had actually I had shared this chart a couple weeks back, and I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. There's some kind of like Adam and Eve that could possibly form, and if it breaks out, it has a good upside, good return. Um, when you look back at all the coins that were China coin good, Neo, even like a Tron, BCH, Ghost, which was this pull up Ghost, GHST, USDT,
What is it?
and I'll show G
GHST?
GHST, USDT.
Liquidity test.
Pull out to like the weekly, or you can kind of just see it here. This thing was so flat. There was zero volatility, like no liquidity, and this was some sort of NFT project on Polygon when Polygon pumped really hard in the big, when it had its really good run. And look at those wicks, wild.
That's
This
insane.
and if you look back at all the coins that were part of the China coin narrative, they were just coins that a month ago had the flattest volatility. So there wasn't, in my mind, there wasn't really a narrative. China just bought all the coins that looked like they bottomed.
I'm curious if we're gonna see them trade on a different pair. Like it will get a new version of Kimchi Premium, Yen Premium, or whatever. I'm curious if that'll show up.
Yeah. I think that's 100% possible. I know a lot of like the bullish posters, like narrative posters on CT and the threaders. They're talking about how Hong Kong not just only is approving crypto trading, and but they will also are going to be creating a Hong Kong dollar that is going to be a stable coin. And there's a possibility like you're going to want to start looking at traded pairs on the Chinese yen, or you're going to want to look on this other stable coins that show up like USD and USDT or whatever USD stable coin derivative may not be the one that is going to show some really good alpha. Because back in like the G candle days, like way back before our huge bull run, a lot of people used to specifically chart. Like if you go speaking of Carpe Noctem, I remember like watching some of his old long videos when I was trying to learn Ichimoku. He was talking about like back in 2017, like we used to look at Japanese yen BTC against the Japanese yen or BTC against the um,
Yeah, he looked at the premium. Is
not just premiums, but he would actually TA and take entries on those pairs, not even looking at the USD pair.
Yeah, I could never find the video, but what he was basically saying is over history, Asia tends to be the smarter of the two.
Yeah,
Um,
they buy bottoms and make tops.
yeah, and he
Sell to the
says when they're
Americans.
buying spot for Bitcoin for a premium, it's time to bid. and I forgot how the hell he did it. But he was, if I remember correctly, it was like BTC USD versus BTC. Yeah, I don't remember how he did it. It'd be worth bringing it, or be worth figuring that out though. But I'm trying to just plot it here, but I don't know because that would be BTC in. You'd have to do a symbol conversion, but he had a chart that he would bring up, but I'm talking about like this was like 2017 videos, so I don't know. Anyway, I wish I could get him to interact, but he'll only occasionally answer a DM from me. You never know.
And it's always a learning.
But he's a goat. Anyway, do you think Sam's going to jail?
You know, I have pretty much muted anybody that's talking about or has talked about him months ago, so I have no idea what even the status is of his. Is he?
I saw new videos
no
of
idea
him
what the
today,
status is.
or new pictures of him in court, and or it looked like he was going to court. But I know they filed a bunch of stuff additionally on him today, more charges, more Ponzi charges. So I don't know. I haven't heard. I mean, I've also heard that Caroline quit cooperating. So we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we still haven't heard from Salami. Holy cow, you guys are right. Wi-Fi went nuts. Is Wi-Fi Asia?
No. Okay, so this is an OG DeFi. This is like the OG DeFi.
Yeah, but
there's
isn't it abandoned?
No. It's still developed. But they changed something. They have some sort of upgrade that or some new.
But wasn't it Wi-Fi 2 was the split?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But Wi-Fi,
Urine.
just that one eye, urine, is still in development. Like Bantag is still definitely involved in there.
I remember. I don't make fun of it too much anymore, but I used to make fun of it. There was some poor bastard.
Oh, it was some sort of LSD trade. They have like a liquid staking derivative Ethereum trade thing that they're trying to implement.
So I wanted to point out somebody on Coinbase bought a $96,000 Wi-Fi token. I just want that to sit and let you think about that. Someone almost paid six figures, and they probably did pay six figures with the fees on Coinbase. I think there was like 10 tokens that were sold at that actual price. So in that 4-hour session, there was like 150 tokens, but I think there was like 10 of them that were sold at like that price. So like $1 million on that wick, but someone sold, I mean, I don't know. I just remember at that absolute peak, and I saw a coin almost break six figures, and I was like, here it comes. And now it's at $10,000. I mean, it's literally a 90% retrace. So maybe you could argue this is accumulation as well. Like a traditional quote unquote traditional accumulation chart. Yeah, I would have wanted to use reversion bands for trading this wild thing. She got preliminary sport. That's a high spring, if that is a spring. And then first time guy wanted to see a zero real quick. I don't know a zero, but we'll take a look. Do you know it by chance, Dop?
Yeah, it's really new. Hardly traded anywhere, but like the team's really good. I've looked into it. Obviously, this chart speaks for itself. That's upward accumulation, fella.
There you go, channel walk. My thing is, bud, if you're looking at a zero, is get it while it's good, but the instant this thing clearly cuts through like this, I call these channel walks where they just sit there and do this forever because the whales are holding a vertical, like you said, accumulation. When these things break, there's a bunch of them that literally do this. They go 80% down. Most of the time it's 60%, but just be real careful. Like get your gains and cut them. If you learn to cut it, you know, save your profits, you're good. No, that's a great chart. 120. Let's see a sweep of the low. Yeah. I wonder if Zero is it even on any majors?
No, not yet.
UXC, Coinbase.
KuCoin.
Yeah.
It's the biggest you got.
Blake likes KuCoin, but they send bad. They spook him every few months. They actually have changed his leverage orders before.
I believe it. Like they only give you 5x on most things, but they'll give you the option. Says, hey, like crank it all the way up to 125, and then you try to put it in, and it doesn't do anything. It just auto deleverages it to 5 before you even enter your order.
Yeah, he got auto deleverage on a bunch of stuff, and he was like, "What the f?" He's like, the position was great, and he was printing, and then they just killed it on him.
The thing that pisses me off the most about that exchange is they have random maintenance windows that they don't plan for withdrawal. So I still end up going to KuCoin a lot just to use as a like I on ramp and I buy BTC and then I bring it over to a centralized exchange to trade it into USDT. That's often how I get money into crypto.
I mean, hypothetically speaking, right?
Obviously, in a video game. So, but KuCoin, like I'll trade in to some USDT and I want to I want to bring it to Arbitrum or I want to bring it to Optimism because it has way less fees. And I'll put in the order and it will go for 6 hours and I have to go and hypothetically have to go and contact their supports and be like, hey guys, I've been waiting nearly half a day now. How come my order hasn't gone through and it still says it's pending? Oh, it's in maintenance. It will get processed when it can. And I go, like, is there any place that you're telling on social media, on a blog post, when you're having these? And they don't. They just randomly have outages for their bridges.
It's not a feature. It's a bug.
Frustrating.
That sucks. Yeah. Speaking of that, I need to go check a transfer to another exchange. I think they double charged me. Sorry, just typing myself a note. I always get scared, especially when it's an overseas exchange. The other thing, I wonder if proof of work's going to come back at all on Ethereum Classic. This thing outran Ethereum in 2022 bad. Like it waxed Ethereum.
Out of all the China coins, like ETC was primarily backed by some of the biggest Chinese whales, and this thing did not move. So it tells you how much BS that narrative was. At least the last couple of weeks, who knows? It could actually come back. I do believe the Hong Kong news is bullish, and it is the only way for crypto to decouple from the U.S. markets. But the fact that this did not move, and this was primarily Chinese whales and miners that were trying to make this happen, and ETC. No, you know what? I'm getting confused because I thought you pulled up the Ethereum proof of work. Was it ETPOW? That's what I want to look at. I can't remember what it's even called.
F work.
Is it just FPOW?
Yeah, but this is Beth. Or that's BitMextra F.
You know what? It probably did so bad they pulled it from exchanges.
I had so many people DMing me and like asking for TA, and I was like, and this was like the first week it launched. I was like, you want me to give you Rainbow Theory reads on something with 4 days of candles? Like, I was like,
look at this thing. This is what I would think is a Chinese coin. Like, this did nothing.
I wonder what the hash rate is even right now. I don't know of anybody mining this thing. It'd be something you need to get Ask on and see if they're actually doing anything with this. Speaking of that, let's look at NVIDIA. Wait till we see like a real small crypto exchange take the SEC to court and have like ChatGPT be the lawyer and whoop Gary's butt.
Well, I remember one of the first AI headlines was some college kid, maybe 6 years ago at this point, created some AI chat thing that could challenge, and this was, I think it was for like New York, like parking tickets in New York. You could file with the specific web app, pay $50 or something, and it would challenge your parking ticket, and it would just put the processor on the other side like through so much hassle that they would give up and you would get your money. That's how you would get out of the ticket. It was one of the first. It was one of the first AI stories I ever read.
There was another one that does. There was one that was specifically set up to cancel to. You'd pay it money, and it would unsubscribe you from Comcast because Comcast was notorious for like not letting you cancel your service.
Yep.
NVIDIA would be interesting. I don't know. It's so erratic, but when it runs. But like the F narrative is dead. But
no, it's all AI narrative for this now.
Yeah. I've heard of some people that are starting to mine with their old Eth setups to do AI, but it's real weird how it's real random when the loads come and it just slams the systems, but they're doing something with their video cards. We'll see, but it's rocking. If you can't tell, this trend is broken, but we'll see. I don't know. I haven't heard too much about the 4000 series, but I know the 30,000 series were freaking amazing. I still have the 3080 Ti. Check AMD. AMD. I really like the AMD processors too right now. Yeah, we'll just see. It's just one of those things. When's the next FOMC?
It's a big one. March sometime. We got, but this one is important because this one will have dot plots. Will have economic outlook.
March 20th. Spaceman has this indicator, FOMC Spaceman, and it's all the dates. It's nifty. Yeah, that'll be awesome. I'm with the labor market. I'm curious if they're going to roll a 50 or if they're just going to sit there and do 25 BPS for the entire year. It's going to be quite frustrating.
Yeah, we'll know before blackout, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, thanks for coming on. I'm gonna have to get going. It's 10 o'clock. Wife's gonna get mad.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll have to do it some more, and I'll try to get more streams on. If you're new here, don't know what's going on, come hang out with us in the Discord. All the info is on the website, rainbow-trends.com. You can check out what the tools are about. Sign up today. There's free tools. There's premium tools. Discord has no paywalls, and that's where everyone's like talking charts all day, every day. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you.